Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever and whenever you're listening to today's Town Hall. Today we're writing the Town Hall number 16. I welcome everybody for tuning in here or listening onto this later on. Today we do have a couple of topics that we want to talk about. First and foremost, the first ever found block by a Bitaxe device, which we will briefly cover. After that, we want to dive into the section of BTC Nashville and a couple of topics around that, as well as speaking about what's happening in the market and what's going on in general. Not speaking about any prices, just about devices. All right, let's start with it. And first and foremost, if anybody of you want to come up on stage and just speak or chat, whatever, just raise your hand and I'll bring you up on the stage. So we have seen the first ever block been found by probably a Bitaxe device, block number 853742, which apparently has been mined by the pool CK pool, which is a solo pool as well, and this pool is also open source, but apparently does use a percentage of 2% on a fee basis. Compare this to public pool, we don't have any there. Shout out to Ben, and thanks for running this without any pool fee. Yeah, but it's quite funny. X or Twitter or however you want to call this was a little bit raging about it. Some people claiming that this is probably just a big miner who named himself a Bitaxe. Could be, but probably it's not, because what we have seen on the stats overview website from CK Pool is that the device connected to this Bitcoin address was hashing for the last 7 days at around 300 gigahashes, which means it is most likely something like a Bitaxe device. On top of that was the worker name Bitaxe as well, so it is really likely that this have been a Bitaxe device. The funny thing, or what I personally do think is funny about it, is the first couple minutes or the few seconds before it actually hit a block, it increased its hash rate to over 3 terahash, which I think might be an indicator, therefore, that someone was using more than one Bitaxe device. Especially, why should you connect a device and name it Bitaxe if it isn't, right? I mean, you're trying to do the best and you're trying to spread the word, so you name it Bitaxe on your pool side, obviously. Yeah, but funny thing is, so the terahash side on this device was at around 3 terahash as soon or as it hits the block. And yeah, it hits the block with a difficulty of 300T, which is insane. It's more than above what you need to find a block currently. We're sitting at a network difficulty of 83T or something like this. Let me open up mempool here quickly. And let's see what difficulty we're sitting at. Let's see here. What do we have here? We have a 82.05 T difficulty, and it will probably increase by 11% in the next couple of days. The current expectation for an increasement on the difficulty is set to be in 3 days for 11.56%. So it's going to be interesting. And also we do see the hash rate, the overall network hash rate is rising like hell. Apparently seems like more miners are coming online. Some people on the internet are speaking about that the crisis of miners is over. I don't know why. It could be probably tied to the price of Bitcoin, but whatever. We are not diving into this, and especially not into prices in general, because we love to speak here on OSMU about everything that is tied to devices and open source stuff in general. So yeah, therefore it is most likely that you will never hear something like that. But still, I haven't said it, so I need to do it. Congratulations from my side, and probably everybody here in OSMU is also congratulating you. If the listener, whoever it is, or the block founder basically, whoever it is listening to this one, congratulations to you. I'm really happy that somebody actually used the Bitaxe device and has proven that this is no bullshit what we're doing here. It is actually a functional mining device, which apparently needed to be proved, because we found a couple of blocks on the testnet, but the testnet is not the same as the mainnet, so therefore we never had really proof of all of the things. The mechanics were working, but now we have the written proof on the blockchain that it is possible, and I'm really thankful for that. All right, let me dive into a section which is also tied to the point of devices and what we do see there. Apparently, it appears to be that there are more and more copycats coming along, and I'm not trying to bash them in any way. It's always good to see new devices and new stuff like this coming on the market, because what we're thrilled and what we're trying to do here with this whole system of OSMU is to bring more people to mining in general. And therefore, I do think it's a general good idea to produce new devices, even though if they are copycats of what we have created with the Bitaxe device, it doesn't matter. It's a good thing. The only shame about it is if you take something that is open source and make it closed source again. And this is the only negative point I have to say about that. But other than that, it's good to see that new markets are coming in here, or new people are coming in here, and other companies are trying to achieve what we are been doing here with our open source devices. Lastly, about new devices, maybe not new devices, but some of you guys are waiting for the hacks, and I do know that some people got into this discussion about should we keep going with the hacks or shouldn't we keep going with the hacks. So we do have the version 3.04, which is on GitHub available, and Tiny Chip Hub from China is currently the only manufacturer, and they have new stock. So therefore, this is a good thing. Another good thing is that Decentral lately announced that they also will be very shortly coming in the market with the Hex design. So they're trying to produce and then sell hexes as well. Because the current Hex design is tied to the BM1366 chip, so therefore the S19 chip, which is kind of okay. We are sitting at a roughly 2.5 to 2.7 terahash per hex device with a power consumption of 66 watts. That's the readings that I can provide to you, because I do have a prototype laying around here, which is obviously hashing all day long. So yeah, it's really good to see that other companies are also trying to get into the section of the hacks. One bummer about it is that there's not this official, now this is done and you can go and work with it. It's only this, yeah, this should work. We are currently internally discussing a couple of changes or bounties to addressing a couple of issues on the hacks. So stay tuned for these ones, because we really do believe that it shouldn't only be a couple of people that are contributing to the overall system. Whenever you do have anything that is helping this community, just reach out or come in this Discord that we do have. And by the way, you can find the OSMU Discord on discord.gg/OSMU. If one of you who are listening to this later on are not aware of this, the Discord that we do have is the major platform that we do use for all our communications regarding of new devices, different derivatives of the Bitaxe or whatever. So come in there and check it out. It's pretty cool, and yeah, that's what I needed to say about that. Now I'll try to be a little bit weird, and I'll try to invite SoloSatoshi onto the stage. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Paul. Hey, how's it going, man?
Hi, it's doing good. It's doing good over here. You are still in Nashville, right?
Yeah, so we're at the BitX booth right now. Very exciting, man. So many people are excited about BitX. We've actually completely sold out, and we kind of made a sign that says sold out, just kind of as a middle finger to the bigger guys. Everyone's so proud of the project. Everyone's so proud of the developers, and everyone's just super excited, man, that one of these devices actually hit a block. So we're getting real time feedback, and it's just amazing. Can't explain it.
That's lovely. That's lovely. It's really good to have you over there. By the way, what about Scott? Is he next to you or somewhere around?
Scott has been being pulled in 20 different directions, as you could imagine. We've seen him a few times. He's kind of been hanging around the booth, but he's getting pulled left and right to different podcasts and interviews and whatnot.
Oh, but that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Would you mind quickly, or maybe sharing with us a little bit of your experience of BTC Nashville? Because I really want to dive into this and give all the listeners and everybody who is in the audience right now here a dive into Nashville, what it is, what you have seen there, and what's the feeling of being there.
Bitcoin Nashville has been great. There's a lot of hype about the Bitaxe, like we said. There's a lot of stuff going on in the open source community. We're set up in the open source area. They kind of have us tucked away to the back. But I mean, overall, just general excitement. You know, the Bitcoin price has been doing pretty good. So everyone's just generally pumped. I don't want to get political, but me personally, everyone's just kind of down right now about the former president's speech. Really said a whole lot of nothing, to me at least. And everyone's just kind of whatever on that subject. But overall, a great experience, connected with plenty of really good people in the open source community. And everyone is super excited.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. By the way, what about your backpack selling of BitX devices? How many have you brought with you to give there any rough numbers?
So we we brought about we brought a lot. We brought about 300 devices. We've sold out. I mean, if we would have brought them in all on the first day, we probably would have sold out then. But we were trying to bring them in little bits by little bits initially in backpacks, but we were selling out so fast that we decided just to bring the whole supply in, and they were gone immediately. I mean,
Well,
just
that's
people
insane.
people are buying 10 at a time. 10 at a time. Crazy.
Oh my goodness. And I need to
Yeah.
ask this. You have hopefully sold them for BTC and not for fiat shitcoins.
So it's been a mixture. I find that one of the greatest debates in the industry is just, some people look at it like the store value or medium of exchange, and you're kind of you're kind of fighting with that crowd. So some people prefer to pay fiat, and some people prefer to pay BTC, and we accept both just to offer conveniency to the customer. We don't want to deny anyone a BitX. So we're here representing OSMU, Bitaxe. So we're definitely just trying to get them out. So yeah, we did accept some fiat.
Lovely, lovely. I mean, it's good to hear, especially it's totally insane to actually hear you bringing over their 300 units and all of them are sold out, like literally. On the first day or on the second day? When were you sold out?
It was over the course of 3 days, and that's because we didn't bring all of our supply in initially, and we sold out like right before lunch. So 300 devices over the course of 3 days, right before lunch on the third day. So if we would have had more, uh, probably would have gotten rid of more for sure.
That's insane. That's really good to hear. So we do have plenty more people coming onto the BitX and enjoying it, hopefully, mining silently at home.
Oh yeah, yeah. So everyone's been wanting to know whether to go to a Lightning payout pool or a solo mining pool, and of course we're directing them directly to public pool as best as we can. Especially with the most recent news of someone hitting an actual solo block. I think this is actually starting to set in with people that this isn't a joke. This isn't a toy. We've actually seen plenty of people who are non-believers come and buy some bit axes. So we feel like there's a dynamic shift for sure in the
Oh,
industry. And
would you mind sharing a little bit information? Maybe if this is okay, I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit of uh, who was a non-believer and how did they actually change their mind?
yeah, well, first of all, we sold two bit axes to Brains, uh, which was pretty funny. The CEO and the CFO came over and bought some miners. So they both bought a Supra from us. So that was pretty funny. We held just some good conversations with them, and they were just poking little jabs at us, and we were poking jabs back at them. But it was just like a friendly competition conversation, essentially. But just some people, I don't really know them, but people that would come over and they were like, "Man, I thought this thing was a toy, a joke. Like it didn't stand a chance. I thought it was a novelty, like a bookshelf item, and I never thought it would hit a block." So we were like, "No, we understood that it would hit a block. I mean, obviously, this is like very soon for the amount of devices that was out there." But obviously, everyone in the community that is a true believer in BitX, they know this would happen from statistics, but It's just hitting people differently, and you can see there's a lot of FOMO, there's a lot of hype, and there's been a tide shift of people coming to Bitaxe now. They're starting to see where Bitaxe actually holds its value and where it could actually pay off to solo mine.
That's lovely. That's really lovely to hear. By the way, speaking about this and the BitX story in general, if I'm not mistaken, Scott has already been on a stage, right? Have you had the chance to listen to it, and would you mind sharing a little bit with us? Because I apparently was not able to find anything about it online.
Yeah, man. Me and Hunter, my business partner, have been boots on the ground at the BitX booth. So it's kind of crazy. There were times where we probably had 20 people surrounding the booth, just listening to us, basically tell a story of what BitX is and why we think it's going to succeed over every other big ASIC miner out there, or every big Bitcoin miner out there. So to be completely honest with you, man, we have not had time to go to any stages. We had a little time today to walk around only because we sold out. But I think Scott spoke twice on stage, and we hadn't even had time to knock off just to go see him. Every time we turned around, we tried to stock back up when there was no one. By the time we looked back up, there was another 10 people waiting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Like when I tell you our feet hurt, all we've been doing is standing. Like one day, all we ate was a blueberry muffin in like 12 hours. Like it's been absolutely nonstop. Like incredible how pumped people are for BitX.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Especially for this community, we need to rise the amount of awareness of people that this is not a joke, as you expressed. This is literally something that could potentially hit the lottery. We are not saying it will, but it could, and we do have proof on the blockchain there with the device that did it the last couple of days. So yeah, that's really good to hear, and I'm really thankful for you and Hunter being there and actually representing us and bringing more big eggs to the people.
Yeah, man, we're happy to be here. We're happier for you guys and happier for the community. We're really happy for Scott. Um, we're blessed, man. You guys are blessed. Like we know we're on the right path. You know, this all of this happening before this, and us being where we are just proves that we're on the right path to making all this possible. And again, can't stress enough the hype and the happiness that people have when they come to the booth and actually start physically touching a BitX. Everyone is surprised about its size and its power, its efficiency, and what it's really here to do. And they're really surprised that it hit a block. And the excitement is just ecstatic.
That's amazing. All right. Is there anything else? I mean, you said you were all day long on your booth and hadn't really had the time to look around. But is there anything else you want to share about Nashville?
I mean, that's basically the gist of it. Like I said, there's a lot of excitement in the industry. All the big manufacturers are here. A lot of big corporate entities, a lot of artwork, Taproot Wizards. I don't really know what that is, but there's a bunch of big stages. Everyone's got smiles on their face. There's so many people here from all different walks of life, all different age groups, all different, from all over the world, and it really just summarizes what Bitcoin is and how everyone can come together for one common cause. Um, the Bitcoin's it's bringing everyone together, and the environment at the conference is exciting.
That's amazing to hear. That's really amazing to hear. I mean, I wish I could have been there, and I guess a couple other people as well. But it is what it is, and we're really thankful for you having you being there, and Scott obviously as well. I'd be thrilled to have a chat with Scott as soon as he's back home, and probably in the next town hall we also speak with Scott about it and what his experience was. But yeah, really, thank you for being there, and thank you for representing us.
Yeah, thank y'all for the opportunity, and we look very forward to meeting all you guys one day. We'll figure out all the details, and we'll make it happen. somebody will come across the pond eventually and meet each other. We'll figure out the details later. But we appreciate everything. Just shout out to OSMU, Scott, everyone for this opportunity. And I feel like we held it down pretty adequately for you guys, man. I feel like we got a lot of people and there were some people who didn't know about Bitaxe at all. I feel like we got pretty much everyone excited. Everyone that came to the booth pretty much left with a device. I mean, there may have been 1% of the people who actually came to the booth and didn't get a device. And people are disappointed that we sold out. But like I said, some people were coming getting handfuls, bagfuls, leaving with 10 bit axes at a time. So excitement's there. It's a good thing, man. Y'all have done an amazing job, and we have to keep innovating. We have to keep scaling. We have to keep getting the word out there about BitX. There's so much support, even from the big corporate guys. You'd be surprised the people who's come over and encouraged it and supported it, and who's even bought a BitX.
I mean, I can't imagine staying there all day long and just selling them straight away in bags. This is insane.
Yep. We're gonna start loading up our booth. Thank you guys for having us up this evening. Um, we're gonna start packing everything up. Overall exciting. Good job, everyone.
ComX is
Well
running in the
done, mate.
chat. Even Brains came along and bought some LMAO. Yeah, that's really funny to hear. I heard this story like I think you told this in another conversation yesterday or so, SoloSatoshi. So that's really funny.
I
I mean, who knows what they will do with it, but probably run it, right?
Probably, hopefully. We're not gonna run theirs.
Yeah, no.
Maybe they want to make some firmware for us.
Yeah.
But one that is not calling back home to their own server, right?
You never know.
You never know. That's correct. Hey, CryptoIce.
So also a lot of people are buying these for testnet. A lot of developers to help innovate further on Bitcoin Core. Just all the developers are buying these for testnet. They have people buying them to try and look at the firmware to help out with firmware issues. There's there's a lot of people here who want to know how they can contribute to the project. So not only we're not only looking at this as a financial standpoint, of course, we understand the underlying mission is to decentralizing Bitcoin and opening up the network and getting people in the right spots to also help within the community. And I think since all of this has happened, this has actually perked up people's ears to actually try and contribute as well. So I think this will also benefit you guys with developers and other people who have these skills to help you guys out with the firmware and just overall innovating future models of BitX.
By the way, while you're talking about this, for everybody in the audience and listening to this later on, if you're not aware of this, we do have a bug bounty program where you can literally submit any bugs and a solution to this and earn sats for submitting your solutions to any bugs that you found.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having us up. We appreciate you guys. We're gonna run. Don't mean to make it short. We're gonna go ahead and pack up and try to beat the crowd. Secret Service is kind of crazy in here. Everything's actually a little bit crazy. So we're gonna get on the road. Thanks guys for all the opportunity, and hopefully we could run the booth for you guys some more in the future. We'd love to do it. I mean, we'd love to do it. We're gonna find the time. We're gonna find the time to dedicate more of our time to this. This is absolutely amazing experience, like unfathomable.
That's really amazing. Thanks for being there, and buddy, stay safe and keep calm and have
Have a
fun
safe
over
journey
there.
home, man.
Thank you guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Message me anytime.
Drive safe.
Will do, brother. Thank you. Bye.
All right, this is again for everybody in the audience a call. If you do have any questions and anything else, if you want to just have a chat, just come up here and chat with us. All right, hey CryptoIce, how's it going? What's going on?
Oh, all is good. In the man cave, R&D, experimenting.
R&D experimenting. Is there anything you want to share?
Yeah, managed to download some data off a satellite yesterday for the first time. It was pretty fun. So now I'm researching how to build a transmitter for it. And if that works, because I could do some tests to send them to myself, but eventually I'm going to set you up with a receiver and see if I can send you some lightning over the satellite.
So maybe you dive a little bit deeper into this. What is your general plan with it? Why are you doing this?
Off-grid, we depend on centralized too much, and that is pools, centralized pools, but we also forget more meaningful things, the utilities. We depend on our electricity provider, that there's always going to be electricity. And we're always depending that there's Wi-Fi and internet connection for our Bitaxe or our miners to connect to the world. And unfortunately, these ISPs, like I don't know if you recall, I think you told me, was it in Germany that T-Mobile stopped Stratum traffic?
Wasn't it some
It might be in the
mobile
UK.
service in UK?
Yeah, I think it's in the UK. Some mobile service providers decided to stop Stratum traffic. So what's stopping them when they want to take control to say, oh, well, we can't get to all your miners, but we'll just turn the internet off, or we'll control the nodes, the main hubs of the ISPs, and not allow Stratum traffic.
So for those of you who are not probably or who are not aware of this, we do have a couple of projects here in our Discord, and a couple of them are tied specifically to derivatives about the Bitaxe device, creating other forms of a mining device. But we also do have the Bitaxe RF channel, which is tied specifically to actually make it happen that we can broadcast mining shares and mining submissions in general over another source of communication than Ethernet, internet, Wi-Fi, something like LoRaWAN, satellite, stuff like this. So this is the kind of topic that we are now talking about, and this is the kind of topic that you're trying to get into, CryptoIce, right?
Yeah, we're trying to establish decentralized communications. I mean, we don't have to stop using the internet, but in the event that somebody is like having a fire extinguisher at your house, you don't use it, but it's there for a reason. Occasionally you might practice, recharge it, XYZ. So the plan is to make an alternative method of communication between a lot of our devices. I'm starting with a miner and the Bitaxe because that's sort of the early starting point, but we need to look at our nodes. My goal basically, here's the setup. I have my own 2 nodes. So one of my Bitaxes mines to my node, which has Lightning, the core, main core, XYZ, and that syncs with the standard Tor connections and the standard peer-to-peer internet connections. But at the same time, internally in my LAN, I have another node which is connected, and this is what I was talking about, the Blockstream. So at the moment it's connected to the Blockstream satellite, and it downloads a copy of the node of the blockchain via satellite only. And then its internal IP interface is the peer to my running node. So if basically if the internet goes down, my main node, where my miner works on and all my transactions happen from, will revert to its only connected peer that it can see now, which is in my internal network, which has the latest database for the blockchain via satellite. So now I'm trying to add other methods, satellites, ham radio, different alternative ways.
Even with using satellite, there could be the possibility of being tied to centralized service. For example, I'm not sure if there's any other implementation for satellite communication on Bitcoin nodes, but Blockstream does have one, and you quickly figured out that the European service is not available.
The satellite is down, yes. So it's not the satellite. So yes, the satellite, you could say it's controlled by another entity, sure. But they don't physically have control of it. They can't get their ass at 36,000 kilometers up in geostationary orbit and drag it away. So if something even went down, unless they purposely turned it off, so hence why we are looking at radio options and all other things. Yeah, it's experimental at the moment. And, the next step of the trials is I've received data. Non-specific to Bitcoin. It was basically the actual satellite's own HTML status page. I'm happy to do a demo one day. Maybe we can organize it in another session. But if I can build myself the transmitter now that I want, the the goal will be to, as a test, to start up with you. You can just set up a receiver. It's pretty straightforward now that I figured it out, and under $100. And then I'll see if I can beam you some data because I can send you files. So I'll see if I can send you a text file with some Bitcoin related stuff. And then it's going to be down to you software guys to try and figure out how we extract data. I can deal with the radio side of things and the modem for the radio.
Do you have any current information on how high the delay is, for example? How long did it took to actually...
Delay quick. There is no delay. It's pretty quick. The bit rate... bear with me for a second. I think I sent you yesterday.
Yeah, probably the bit rate is not that high, but yeah, I mean, we don't really need that much of a bit rate for communication on the mining side. But what we do need is, I'd say, maybe a little bit of both, a little bit of bit rate and a little bit of the fast lane instead of being too slow. I
posted something. Yeah, within a second. It's in the RF channel, I think.
I think it was something like 500.
Yeah, it is. No, I managed to get
1,940 BPS.
7,200 BPS.
Oh, you sent me a different number. All right.
I did, but then I managed to tune the satellite dish a bit better and the frequency, and I managed to get up to 7,000.
Have you tested it during different scenarios, like with clouds, with no clouds?
It doesn't matter because it's satellite related. It doesn't reflect off the atmosphere, so like ham radio.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, the temperature changes when the satellite dish gets in the sun, the electronics change a bit, but I figured a way to lock onto the beacon of the satellite so the signal doesn't drift. So it keeps a pretty decent data rate. I mean, there is lost packets, but I found this modem. It's all open source, the software. So at some point, me and you need to sit down because I can figure out the satellite and the remote RF stuff, but when I'm hitting, I don't know how to send Bitcoin related data now through it. You know what I mean? I can send you files and pictures and stuff, but we need to figure out how we can get this modem to talk to Bitaxe and the Bitaxe just to send data through this. So
yeah, that's going to be an interesting topic
I need
to
collab
actually
with you
achieve.
guys. Yeah. Now, how can I basically I need a Bitaxe not to talk through TCP/IP or I don't know.
I
need to show you how this.
We do have the BAP, the Bitaxe accessory port to. So the only, as you always state, like it's down to the software guys to actually make some sort of changes.
Somehow now you need to get the Bitaxe to talk to my computer because from this computer I can use Terminal, I can use the File Explorer to place a text file in it, and then the software will automatically send it. So yeah, I've got this stage to establish the link. Now I need to sort of collab with the team, a bit more software to see if we can feasibly get a Bitaxe to actually do anything. Because this specific satellite has a massive footprint around here in Europe for us. It's an amateur-free satellite, so we could use it. It's all open source stuff. And the digital channels are pretty quiet. So I've been monitoring it for a week. And I think we can comfortably run prolonged tests on it. I was thinking if we send out a burst every 10 minutes or whatever we need for the syncing of a node or... Anyway, we need to do some work on it.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing. I'll explain. We're going down a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole.
It's definitely a rabbit hole. I just want to raise awareness to everybody here in the audience. If you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or just ask them in the chat. Town halls are usually not for news. They should be usually for any questions related to Bitaxe or anything else around it. But yeah, apparently we turned a little bit into a news channel. So whatever, I just need to mention it that this is for you guys. And if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them. Because this town hall is for you. I also want to share with you a little bit of experience that I do had in the last couple of weeks, because here in Germany I do offer a repair service for Bitaxe devices, and apparently it seems like a couple of people are ordering PCBs from PCB manufacturers, trying to assemble them themselves, and then figuring correctly out a couple of things that are working. The overall structure of everything that we do have, data related to all these components that you do need for the BitX, are generally speaking all the same, and you couldn't really mess up with any of those. One thing that you literally could mess up is by falsely taking wrong components, which is one thing, but a bigger issue is by not producing it, the PCB, the actual printed circuit board, with wrong copper in layers. What I'm talking about is the thickness of copper in the PCB. And I've seen a couple of these boards which just run way too hot. Like some people are complaining they have built themselves a BitX device and now it's running at 70 C degrees all day long. And this is not only due to bad fans or bad heat sinks, this could also happen due to false manufacturing in general. So I just wanted to raise a little bit of awareness about this topic because, lately I've seen this very often, and repairing these devices is somewhat not fun, to be honest. And maybe even if you do think you have a BitX device and it could be repaired, consider twice. Repairing these is time-wise very consuming and therefore a bit expensive. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but consider twice if you just don't want to repair it. Sometimes it's not worth it. But whatever. To be honest, with the topics for today, I'm mostly done. I don't really have any more topics unless anybody else in the audience does have a specific question or wants us to go in a specific route. Other than that, I'm not sure. Like CryptoIce, do you have anything that you want to share?
We're going to have some news coming out soon. I'm launching a new product. Look out for an announcement.
Oh, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Speaking about new products, I myself found that I'm really upset with the way how Brains actually come along with their 1 terahash miner, and therefore I started with Clear from this community here as well, a new product called Bitaxe Nano. I'll post a link in the Townhall chat here. This is just a funding from Gazer Fund, and I'm thinking about just creating this or not. I'm thinking about we are creating this. Prototypes are on the way, and this is specifically a 1 terahash home miner, which is specifically open source. The reason why I'm talking about this is that Brains came along with their 1 terahash miner, which apparently is a little bit inefficient and it is not open source. So therefore we were a little bit upset about it. So that's the reason why we created the Bitaxe Nano and why we will bring it up to the public, hopefully by the end of next month. It all comes down to how quickly we can actually get the prototype up and running, but it shouldn't be that much of an issue because what we're trying to achieve with it is to actually use the XOS software. We just need to modify a couple of things. I've already started it on the GitHub repository from Scott for the ESP miner. There's a tree called Nano. I'm currently working on it and making a couple of changes. And as soon as this one works, you definitely can expect a shout out from me so that you guys know there's more to come. And especially, it's just another thing. Sure, you could change the BitX, increase the PCB. We tied this to be specifically in a specific size, to be a small form factor, a little bit appealing. We're not using a screen for the reason of I think the screen is sometimes a little bit useless. You can use the web UI. And yeah, it's basically in terms of software a BitX with 2 chips. In terms of hardware, it's a little bit different, but it does use 2 S21 chips, and therefore we expect a hash rate of 1.2 to 1.5 terahash. It all comes down to how you tune your ASIC chips in general. Yeah, just wanted to quickly mention that. Let me wait for the people writing in the chat here. Maybe there are some questions coming along with that. So let it be asked, is it possible for a novice to install the Argon cooler, and is there a real benefit to install? So which cooler are you specifically mentioning? The Argon cooler. I'm not sure which one is this. But let me speak a little bit about the general stuff of coolers on a BitX device. So we have seen different variations of BitX devices with different coolers, small heatsink, big heatsink, giant heatsink with 1 fan, with 2 fans, like the the space or the tower heater that you do see from the Bitaxe Supra, which has been sold by Decentral. Yeah, okay, the one that Decentral says. So there's one very misconception about using a bigger cooler. The bigger cooler wouldn't actually help you improving the efficiency or cooling your ASIC down more if you don't apply proper force to it. What I'm talking about here is, for most of you guys who do have a Bitaxe, just take a look on your heatsink. You will find that there are these spring-loaded plastic holder thingies on the side of your heatsink, and these plastic things are really bad. Like, they are okay for a Bitaxe, but if you actually want to use them for a bigger heatsink, they're more or less useless. What you should change to is to use spring-loaded screws and screw it into place to apply a little bit more force on the ASIC chip and therefore transfer more heat off the ASIC chip to the heatsink. And then I do think these bigger heaters, like this tower heater that Decentral is selling, does make sense. And I've talked to Jonathan from Decentral a couple of days ago, and he said to me that they are no longer using these plastic spring-loaded thingies. They swapped all over to spring-loaded screws in order to achieve better cooling performances on the Bitaxe device in general, especially with two fans on it. It's more or less useless if you add a big heatsink to it, if you can't really apply enough force to transfer the heat from the ASIC chip to the heatsink. So I hope this kind of answers the questions that you do have. But yeah. Also, Space Lobster is asking, are there any updates on discussion regarding the S21 tubes on the hex aches? So you're referring to what I probably have said in the last town hall, that there are currently things in the making for creating the Bitaxe hex, which does have 6 ASIC chips, hence the name, to not using the BM1366 chips, which are the S19 chips, and changing it over to the S21 chips, which are the BM1368 chips. And no, so far I've not seen any progress on this. I'm not sure if anybody is working at all on this at the moment. Especially, I'm not even sure if you're moving to the BM1368. I think what the idea is to move over to the BM1370, which is the S21 Pro chip. And these chips are bigger, have a way bigger die, and they produce up to 1 terahash per chip, which would mean that you would lift the Bitaxe hex from its current standpoint of 2.5 to 2.7 terahash up to 6 terahash, which is way better, speaking about efficiency and speaking about the terahash that it can actually produce. So yeah, as I said, there's currently no progress. What I do know is that Scott does have a S21 Pro sitting at home waiting for him to come back from Nashville and actually investigate on how the ASIC chip looks and get it onto the first board. And hence this information, you will shortly hopefully see a new Bitaxe device, probably the 500 series, which will have the S21 Pro chip. So one chip on the Bitaxe with 1 terahash of capacity or of actual hash rate. All right, AV3RN is asking, what is the input voltage for the Bitforge Nano 5 volt or 12 volts? It will be at 5 volts. And one important thing for us, and by the way, Clear and I, we are both from Germany, so you can add this German over-engineering topic to the Bitforge Nano. We integrated a fuse, so if you would apply 12 volts or anything else, it would actually blow the device. And it would not destroy it, but it would protect it, therefore we use a fuse. So yeah, no, we tied specifically to 5 volts, and the reason being is that we use 2 chips and we think it will consume up to 5 amps, maybe a little bit less, could be maybe, or maybe a little bit more, like 6 amps. But our goal is to have it running stable at 1.1 terahash, 1.2 terahash, at roughly 25 to 30 watts. That's what we're trying to achieve. Probably way less, and probably way more on the hash rate side, because we're using 2 of these S21 chips. But with 5 volts, you do have a little bit of loss on the conversation of the converting from 5 volts to the 2 voltage domains that we do have on there. And yeah, by the way, currently you're not finding any open source files from the Bitforge. I only have published so far the source code that I changed. It's not done and it's far away from functional. So I need to investigate and spend more time on developing the source code or changing a couple of things to get it working, because we moved or we changed a couple of components on there. So yeah, it's a little bit complicated, especially if you're trying to do a couple of things new. But the hardware will also be open source as soon as the prototype works and as soon as we are launching it as a product. That's the goal. So yeah, I'll not have anything closed source. It will be open source. It just doesn't make any sense to make it open source now if it is not working. So therefore, I just try to protect people from trying to be stupid or doing stupid stuff. That's all. All right. Do you guys have any other questions?
We can wrap it up, man.
Seems like no. All right. So then, yeah, let's wrap it up. So today we talked about the first Bitaxe, the first block that was found by the Bitaxe, and I need to recall it. It's the block number 853742. Congratulations to whoever was the lucky winner of this block. You did an amazing job by getting a Bitaxe and trusting in this. Then we talked a little bit about BTC Nashville, and SoloSatoshi was here on stage and expressed what he has been done over there, and that he literally sold out over 300 Bitaxe devices in a course of 3 days, which is just amazing. And I really hope that there are other events where he will be, or they both will be attending to. And then we talked also a little bit about copycats and what I do think about it. And you, CryptoIce, you shared with us a little bit of your idea using satellites, which is amazing. I can't wait to hear more about it. Other than that, I thank you for being here on stage, and I thank everybody in the audience for tuning in and listening to today's town hall session. If there is nothing else to add, I'd like to close it here. All right. Thanks for being here, and thanks for listening to this. Then see you next time in 2 weeks.